How's it going, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and the Motorola Atrix has been out for some time on AT&T, so it makes sense they'd make a second one, right? Well, you never know what's going to happen in Android land, but they did just that. Here it is, the Motorola Atrix 2. It's available now at AT&T, and it's available at quite a steal, in my opinion, $99.99. It's well below that $199 price point, and it's a high-end device for $100. AT&T's done a pretty decent job of pricing devices like the Thrill 4G, the Atrix 2, some of these high-end devices around the $100 price tier so people can get them. You can see the box here, but in terms of improvements, it offers a 4.3-inch QHD display, so a little bit bigger display, and it doesn't have pin-tile technology like the original Atrix had. It also has an 8-megapixel camera that shoots video at 1080p, a dual-core processor, and more. Let's take a look at it in the full unboxing, but first, special thanks to my boys at Best Buy Mobile because they hook us up with phones just like the Atrix 2 and a lot of other cool stuff for use in our One Paw Band. Again, when you walk into Best Buy Mobile, you won't deal with rebates. I hate rebates. I hate those stupid debit cards they send. I hate waiting several weeks for my rebates to come back. You don't deal with it at Best Buy Mobile. You walk in, you pay $100 out the door, and you'll be good to go at Best Buy Mobile. You'll walk out working, and you'll walk out without dealing with rebates. Enough of that, let's get into it. A Motorola Atrix 2, is this a phone to get? Should you jump up $100 and get the Samsung Galaxy S2? We'll find out in the unboxing, which starts right now. So here it is, the Motorola Atrix was really successful for AT&T, and even though it had its glitches, if you remember when I unboxed it and reviewed it, there were some things I didn't care about. Looking at the software, for example, I didn't care for the old Moto Blur. It was running an older software build of Android out of the box, but now they've kind of refined it. They've redone the design, and they've added some improvements. It's very similar to the Photon 4G, but it's available on AT&T, and it's available for cheaper now. Here's the Motorola Atrix 2. It's available now at AT&T for $99.99. And I have to give AT&T credit. Actually, first, special thanks to AT&T for hooking us up. They did a really great job of getting us over an Atrix 2. So thank you, AT&T. But I have to give them credit because, you look at Verizon, you look at Sprint, you look at T-Mobile, you look at these kind of $199 to $229 price tiers, and it's nice to see a phone. This is a phone that I would consider carrying. It's high-end enough for me. It has some great specs, but it's only $100, and you really can't beat that. So if the Galaxy S2 is too much for you, for $100, you can get an awesome phone here. Now, it has the same 1 GHz dual-core CPU that the original Atrix had. The only difference is it's a TI OMAP processor in this instead of an NVIDIA Tegra 2. So a TI OMAP dual-core 1 GHz processor has a 4.3-inch QHD display. It does not have pin-tile technology, so gone should be the pixelation that you remember from the Atrix and from the Photon 4G and from some of these other Motorola devices that have come out. Texting and driving, it can wait. Which is right. 8-megapixel camera on the back with 1080p HD video recording. It has a 1,735 milliamp hour battery, so a little bit smaller battery. If you remember, the original Atrix came with a 1,930 milliamp hour battery, but this one's super thin, and you can see it fits right down there. So a little bit bigger display. It takes it from 4 inches to 4.3, and like I said, it is a little bit better on the pixelation front, thanks to the fact that it doesn't have the pin-tile technology. So it may not be as bright as the original Atrix, but gone are the little pixely dots. So we'll open this up rather. Put this on. It's a good looking device too. The original it was kind of nice, but it was kind of plasticky. This one looks much better to me, and of course it's running Android 2.3 out of the box with Motorola's custom UI. But you can see now that the battery door's on, I'm going to show you what comes in the box first. AC adapter, USB cable, and then you get some instruction manual. So not a lot in the box. No HDMI cable like last time, but you can see accessories and power it, absorption rate, FCC stuff, safety, regulatory, and legal, and more amazing apps. Then you get the quick start guide on the top when you open up the box for the first time, the little thank you sticker for purchasing, and a welcome to AT&T. So, again, it's no real changes there in terms of the accessories, with the exception of the fact it doesn't come with an HDMI port, or an HDMI cable. But in my opinion, it looks really nice. And you can see here, it's kind of got this carbon fiber back with texturized battery door, and you can see here it looks good. It looks in line with the Bionic and with the Photon 4G and Motorola's current design scheme. But you can see it's a good looking device. Volume rocker over here, camera shortcut button on the right, HDMI port, micro USB charging port over there on the left, 3.5mm headphone jack on the top. The biometric fingerprint lock screen is gone, but again, I guess it's one of those things Motorola kind of thought, well, many people aren't using this, so we're going to switch it out. But you can see powering up now. Good looking device. Let's compare it up against something like the Droid Bionic, just so you can see what it looks like in terms of the size difference. So it's a good looking device. It's nice that the rounded edges make it look nice. I like the earpiece up here. The front facing camera, AT&T logo at the bottom. Then you have menu, home, back, and search down there at the bottom. So again, something I would consider carrying on a daily basis. Has a good look to it, kind of a professional feel. A little bit more, even though it's still plasticky, just the way it looks with the curves and with the display, a little bit bigger display. it looks a little bit better to me on the design front than the original Atrix. So here we go, AT&T Rethink Possible, and it is brand new out of the box, so we're going to start it up. So we're loaded up here, and the first thing you'll notice is that, like I said, it has that QHD display, so it's still very bright, it's still very vibrant, but you'll notice when I zoom in here, when I focus in, there's no pixelation on the display, or little to no pixelation in comparison to the Pentile display that was used on the Photon 4G, the Droid Bionic, and some of Motorola's other recent handsets. It's a good looking display from top to bottom. Again, it's noticeable difference, especially when you compare it side by side to something like the Droid Bionic and you look at stuff like the notifications bar, for example. Huge difference in terms of the way that they look here, just so you can see. Hopefully I can get those focused in so you can take a look. But you can see the pixelation on the left side. You can't see it on the right side with AT&T. So again, Android 2.3 with Motorola's custom user interface. And then out of the box you get the typical AT&T stuff. You get AT&T code scanner, family map, navigator. And you can see it looks like they've done a slightly different font for Motorola's user interface. At least it looks a little bit different in terms of font smoothing. Featured apps. And then over here you have Let's Golf 2, Live TV, My AT&T, Quick Light, Quick Office, and then Yellow Pages Mobile. Now, the good thing about it on a recent AT&T devices, they do allow you to uninstall most of the AT&T stuff, and in Motorola's UI, you can press and hold the application itself and uninstall directly from the menu. So you don't want Family Map, you can uninstall, it'll take you directly to the uninstall screen, and you can remove it there. Now, they allow for folder organizing here, and you can see when I click All Apps, it says All Apps Recent Downloaded in AT&T. I can group them by all the AT&T stuff that's on the device, and then I get a quick and easy button up there to mark it, and I can add my own folder or my own application if I want to. So I can go in here and say New Group, and say Aaron's applications that he loves to use, bring those in, and then I can back out of that, and then it would be right there and say Aaron's applications. I could click there, and it could be my frequently used applications. Let's say mail, text messaging, Twitter, and calendar, for example. So no real changes here, but you can see it scrolls from side to side, just like the Droid Bionic, just like the Droid 3, and some of the more recent Verizon Motorola devices. You can see this kind of nice looking new 4G indicator. I'm always a big sucker for all the small changes, like little things like the 4G indicator, and you can see that it's a different 4G look. It's that typical graphic that you've seen on recent AT&T advertising and on the boxes. Looks a little bit better as opposed to saying H+, because a lot of people were like, what the heck is H+? You know, a lot of consumers. And so 4G just looks better from a branding perspective. This supports AT&T's HSPA Plus, which debate us along you want to as to whether it's actually 4G or not, but HSPA Plus, 21 megabits per second. Now, you're not going to see that in day-to-day testing, but still, it does support up to 21 megabits per second. Let's take a look at the keyboard as well. Now, this is a 4.3-inch display, and while it comes with Motorola's typical custom keyboard here, Motorola's multi-touch keyboard, you're going to get an experience over here that's more similar to the Droid Bionic than you were from the original Atrix, because this is a bigger display, 4.3 inches as opposed to 4. So, you know, just using this, I can tell you, and having the Atrix over here in the bookshelf, I can tell you that it's a big difference. And just that little bit of screen real estate really helps for somebody like myself that has larger thumbs. So we can say the Quick Brown Fox is ready to party and get hammered. Quick Brown Fox, well, he's ready to party and get hammered, according to this. Quick Brown Fox is ready to party and get hammered. Then you can turn it into the 4.3-inch, or thanks to the 4.3-inch display, you can turn it into landscape. And for somebody that has larger thumbs or has a hard time typing on an on-screen keyboard, this may be an easier transition for you. The keys are well-spaced, they're island keys, and Motorola's multi-touch keyboard continues to be, at least in terms of auto-correction, in terms of overall usability, continues to be my favorite on the market. Now, if you don't like Motorola's multi-touch keyboard, well, you have Swipe as well. If Swipe's your thing, you can click over to that and use that as your default input option. So we can go over here and delete that now, and we'll delete. And again, very quick device. You know, again, it swaps out that TI OMAP processor in place of the NVIDIA Tegra 2, but it's still clock speed of 1 gigahertz. We'll have speed tests and more in the full review. And just to go into one more thing, I want to see the browser before we sign off here. And we'll take a look at what how it loads. Put up phonedog.com just so we can take a look and see. Much more coverage to come on the Motorola Atrix 2 on this site right here. See this? See this? Right here. phonedog.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook. Facebook.com/phonedog. We're always doing giveaways and cool stuff like that. Hey, we're just cool. So be sure to like us over at Facebook at Facebook.com/phonedog. Like me on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter as well. phonedog_Aaron. And on Facebook at Facebook.com/phonedogab. Phonedog's loading up here. And so far as I can tell, the pinch to zoom, even though the page isn't fully loaded yet, is pretty impressive. Let's wait for it to load up before I give it the final verdict. Loading right now. You can see this flash advertisements coming into play. But again, a little stuttery, but overall, huge improvement over Android devices in the past. That's pretty fast in my opinion. Keep it locked on the site for continuing coverage on the Atrix 2, and as always, we'll see you next time.